hard. Hola YouTube, and welcome Valkyries of Midgard. My name is Torres, and welcome to my 2020 TBR. Although I am over a month into the new year, let's talk about the books I will be reading this year. I'm calling this TBR my reread TBR, as it encompasses nothing but books I have read before. Reason being is because I want to refresh myself on what happened in these books, and whether or not I still feel the same way about them as I did the first time I read them. So far, it's turning into a pretty good reading year. Now, my TBR process is pretty straightforward. I'm not a mood reader. I don't read to be in a specific mood, feeling, whatever to read a book. I want to read it, I'm going to read it. It's just my mentality, I think. The way how I do my TBR list is I go off of their page count. The books with the least amount of pages goes first and ends with the book with the highest page count. If there is a book in a series that has less than the book before it, then it will go right behind that previous book. And if I have books with the exact same page count, then I will look at the first letter of the title and go alphabetical. No big deal. I pretty much have my TBR set for the year. 12 books for each month, as it takes me roughly a month to read a book. Less if I really like it. If I get a new book, I put it in whatever the next year will be TBR, like I did with these books. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. You see these? All these books I'm reading next year. Oh my god. Now, without further ado, here are the books I will be reading this year. Ooh, this is one hell of a pile. First up, we have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I finished this last month while also audiobook hit. Secondly, we have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, the first book in this series. I also finished this book last month, but no audiobook. It was just surprisingly a really fast read. Also, before I forget, I've never finished reading the Harry Potter series. I really did try, like 3 times. Book 6 is normally where I struggled back in the day because after the book was released, readers immediately spoiled the book, which honestly pissed me right the fuck off. And no, this wasn't online. It was just spoiled in my high school by random assholes that just blurted out what happened in the book. I ended up not going back to it. Then the movies came out and I was going to reread it before the movies came out. Yeah, that also didn't happen. Then the final book of the series was coming out and I planned to reread it again, and then my dad surprised me with the book. Saw how big it was and was like, well, I'm waiting for the movie to come out. I noticed my problem was the size of the book being too much for me at the time. Now, being older and being able to read bigger books because of my weak-ass attention span being better, I want to try and finish this series, regardless of whatever the hell the author is tweeting about on Twitter. So far, I can separate the art and the artist with this series. Next up, and it's a trilogy I'm actually dreading to get back to as I only found it okay and my opinion on the series has actually gotten worse as time has gone by, and that is The Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. The first book in the trilogy, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Yeah, that's right. I only find this series to be okay, and no, I don't like Katniss Everdeen. But like I said earlier, this TBR is more of a refresher and to see if I still feel the same about these books I'm reading. So far, let's see what happens. Now, it looks like the page count to this trilogy is pretty much the same, if not close, because the next book after The Hunger Games is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, the second book in this trilogy. Now we have the third and final book in this trilogy, and that is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. If I'm just not feeling reading books in a series back to back, I can skip those books and move on to the next one on the list, which is funny because my next set of books is also a trilogy, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The first book up is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, which is the first book in the trilogy. The second book in the trilogy actually has less pages than the first, same for book 3, but anyway, the next book is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, followed by The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, also by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yeah, I really don't see myself being able to read both these series straight, so I'm probably just going to be hopping back and forth between books. Next up is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling, third book in this series. Now, from this book and on this series, I honestly can't remember for the life of me what happened. Honestly looking forward to seeing what actually happened in these later, darker books in the series. The next book in this list we have is a new book in its own series, Aragon by Christopher Paolini, the first book in the Inheritance cycle. Now, the books are just gonna get chunkier from this point on, as the next book on this list is Eldest by Christopher Paolini, the second book in the Inheritance cycle. Then we have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, the fourth book in this series. Now we have Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling, the fifth book in this series. And then we have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling, the sixth book in this series. God, I hope my brain doesn't fire the closer I get to the end of this list. Next is Brizinger by Christopher Paolini, the third book in the Inheritance cycle. We are very close to the end now, as the next books on this list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, the seventh and final book in this series. My God. Lastly, we have Inheritance by Christopher Paolini, the fourth and final book in the Inheritance cycle, and it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure I can read it. Now, this is a bonus for this video, and that is I am also reading the Narnia Chronicles by C.S. Lewis, but I'm actually reading those books to my son to help him, sleep faster. Phew. These books really get bigger and bigger, don't they? Anyway, I have a total of 18 books to try and read this year. Some of these books I look forward to reading, and others not so much. Just try and wish me luck on these books, guys. I think I'm gonna need it. Also, just a quick update. Next week, there actually won't be a new video as I want to take a quick break. I'm still very rattled with a new baby here in the house, so that plus I haven't created a script for the next video, so I'm gonna take a break. It's just a week, no big deal. If you want to stay up to date on my endeavors and want to support me, then please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr. All links will be down below. Also, please click that subscribe button and click that bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing writing journey. Adios!